Hello, everyone. Welcome to the webinar on 7 reasons why you should adopt low-code platform now by Zuchi Systems. Low-code platform is a terminology that most of us are very familiar with. However, I believe we would also agree to the fact that there are certain myths surrounding this and certain skepticism. And with the current scenario, when every business is trying to be agile and survive this pandemic, the answer to it is going digital within a very minimal time. And hence, we felt the need to talk on this topic. Myself, Vinny Susan John, Head of Marketing at Zuchi Systems, will be the host for the day. I, on behalf of the entire Zuchians, thank you all for joining us today and for the time you have dedicated to attending this webinar. So here are some webinar housekeeping rules. Be sure your audio is connected properly. All the participants' lines will be muted. However, if you have any question during the presentation, type it into the chat box and we'll log all the questions and answer them at the end during the Q&A session. So the agenda for the day will look like this. Our speaker will give a short introduction on LowCode platform and then take you through the 7 vital reasons for adopting it as topic highlights. And then we'll have our tech experts showing you a 15-minute demo of building an app using one of the well-known low-code platforms. We'll have a Q&A session at the end of this webinar too. With this, let me introduce our speaker for the day, Vasudevan Swaminathan, famously addressed as Vasu. He is the president and principal consultant at Zuchi Systems, where he plays a pivotal role in developing innovative solutions in the digital space. Vasu has spent 2 decades in the field of test automation and has been a speaker and leading authority on various QA forums across the globe. Zuchi Systems is an intelligent automation solutions company helping businesses produce high-quality software. A trusted partner in the digital landscape, the focus of Zuchi is helping customers evolve and stay agile in a challenging business environment. With this, I will hand it over to Vasu. Over to you.
Thank you, Lini. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Low-code is, kind of getting mainstream these days. A lot of people are talking about low-code and no-code platforms. Before I make an introduction to the platform itself formally, I think it would help to talk about some real examples that has particularly happened in the light of the ongoing pandemic that we are all experiencing. So I just wanted to share a couple of examples of low code that have been used during this pandemic, and I will get into an introduction. Both the New York City and Washington DC web portals were recently built or were recently created specifically to meet the needs of COVID-19. For example, they wanted to create multiple web portals actually, basically to provide services and take in information from individuals who have COVID-19 symptoms or who encountered symptomatic individuals. So typically, this would have taken about 3 to 4 months time. Even a bare minimal feature-centric portal would have taken about 3 to 4 months time. But both these cities, which is New York City and Washington DC, they actually used a platform called Uncork. That's UNQORK. Which is not a well-known name in the low-code platform space, but for the needs that Washington and New York needed, this platform actually met their needs. So to speed up the creation of the portals, the cities used Uncork, and using low-code and Uncork, New York was able to go live with its engagement portal within 72 hours. And if you look at the results of what has happened because of this portal, Uncork's platform enabled over 2 million meals to be delivered to the needy in Washington, D.C. and New York as of April 23rd. So as I said earlier, without low code, it would have likely taken around 1 to 3 months or minimum 2 to 4 months of time to develop custom software with similar capabilities. Similarly, there is a very famous platform called Appian, which is in the low code space, which also helped to create a low code responsive application for government agencies and enterprise companies. and they also built some apps during COVID-19. The reason I'm talking about these examples is a platform like LowCode has made a significant difference to to the pandemic actually. The way it has worked is they were able to build portals quickly and put it into the market quickly to take feedback and everything and go productive as early as possible. Actually, there are a number of platforms that have been used like this. OutSystems is another famous platform which has been used during the pandemic scenario. Mendix, which is one of the platforms that Shuchi Systems often collaborates with, again was helping to build large-scale applications. As a matter of fact, during the pandemic, so the very reason, or the topic in terms of introducing low code is often seen as being about building a tool in a very short span of time to solve a specific problem, and it gives the flexibility for users to build their own apps. So we call them as citizen developers basically, which is they don't have to be technically very proficient in coding or anything for that matter, but citizen developers with no technical knowledge, with no coding expertise, can build apps using low code platforms. And not just citizen developers, it is also a tool for the rest of an organization, especially where speed and agility are key elements, and where IT needs to keep up with the rest of the business. I'm pretty sure the last line that I mentioned is not new. It's deja vu for many companies where IT has significant challenges in terms of building infrastructure, whether to keep it on premise or move to the cloud and things like that. All of those are being handled by low-code platforms. And as part of the webinar today, we will talk about more in detail in terms of how companies are organizing or how companies are adapting to low code and how it's helping them basically. So in terms of the introduction itself, I spoke about the advantages of low code platform, but if you were to look at if low code platforms are new, no, that's not the case. Low code platforms have been around for many years now actually, especially in the retail environment. If you look at it, you would have seen names like Magento, Shopify, and all that, which are typically nothing but low code platforms that are meant for building retail applications, both for physical stores as well as online shops and everything. So in some form, low code has always existed, but the difference that low code is making today is it is going mainstream basically. So what we mean by that is IT teams used to build everything for many years, and then there were commercial off-the-shelf software that they started buying basically, which was a recent trend, very recent trend. And with low code getting mainstream, it provides both business people, IT, and everybody with an opportunity to create their own applications, whether you are a small individual or let's say a small business or an individual or a large organization, it doesn't matter. As far as you have people, you can use a low code platform to build any kind of application, and you can get going with it in a very short span of time, as we discussed earlier. So that's one of the reasons why low code is going mainstream right now, and a lot of organizations are trying to embrace low code platforms. So as part of this webinar today, we will look at some examples of how low code is working and some of the key reasons why organizations are using low code platforms, and why that kind of a platform could be very useful for the attendees here and their organizations. Let's move forward and look at some examples. The most common example, or something that we can all connect to when we talk about a low-code platform, is Uber. It might come as a surprise for many people because we always think of Uber as a ride-sharing company, and what is that they are doing with low-code basically. The number one reason why you should go for a Uber, why you should go for a low-code platform is it allows you to focus on your business, and that's what Uber is doing today. Uber wants to focus on their business, and their business is, in simple terms, connecting the passenger who is looking for a ride with a driver who wants to offer a ride. As simple as that. And if they have to focus on this business problem, they have to look at the IT challenges surrounding this. So what Uber did was they did not want to become an IT organization trying to set up everything in order to achieve their business goal. Instead, they went about using the low code model where they chose Box, a company for their storage needs. They chose Google's Maps for their drivers to get directions. They chose Braintree's payment services for their payments and getting their invoices done and everything. And they chose Twilio, which is a platform for messaging. We will talk about Twilio more as part of this webinar for a very big bank, and how Twilio has made them, totally digital. But coming back, Uber used Twilio's messaging tools for all the communication, and they use SendGrid's email. These are some examples. Of course, there are many more. So what has happened is this model is referred to as a functional platform as a service model. So the business gets to focus on the business while you don't have to worry about setting up all your IT infrastructure and everything when you use a low-code platform. So the primary advantage that you get out of a low-code platform is the low-code platform enables you, it helps you to subscribe to external APIs that would be of value to your business while you and your team continue to focus on the business problem at hand. For example, Uber's developers today are empowered through all these API services that comes from Box, Google, Braintree, Twilio, and others, using which they do all the communication that empowers and makes their business more effective, while they don't have to build or manage anything per se, whether it's a cloud environment or their security or scalability. All of that is handled through the infrastructure platforms that we have mentioned here, while Uber gets to focus on the business per se. So reason number one, why you can look at a low-code platform is low-code allows you to focus on your business. It helps you to sharpen your business better. It helps you to, plan your business better in terms of future features and everything, while allowing you to, outsource or allowing you to use a low-code platform to connect to other services that you need in order to empower your business. With that being said, let's go and look at more reasons as to why we need to use a low-code platform. We all know that low-code platforms provide you with a lot of advantages, but two major advantages is you can build applications very fastly and in a very easy manner. The reason is because low code is a visual tool. Low code platforms provide you with a lot of drag and drop features from the visual interface that someone with no experience using coding can still drag and drop and set up the widgets and everything and empower the widgets with the required functionality to perform what they need to perform. And on the other end, if you have a developer who is qualified to do programming, they can still continue to use the platform without having to worry about how to extend a feature or enhance a custom code and things like that. That is also possible within low code. So it allows you to build applications 8 to 10x faster than normal traditional development times, and that might actually lead to a question around, oh, if that's the case, what happens to my testing and everything? All that is addressed as part of the low code platform itself, whether it comes to your performance, whether it comes to your scalability, security, and everything. It's all taken care within the platform. So for example, somebody who has been part of traditional development, if you're looking at questions like, can I do collaboration with multiple developers? Can they act in an continuous integration mode? Can they, work on a single code base? For example, can a low-code platform offer omni-channel application development, which means for my website and my mobile application, can I use a single code base and things like that? Yes, all of that is possible within low-code. So low code gives you tremendous advantage in terms of building apps quickly, while at the same time it allows you to bring in a lot of collaboration between your business and IT, and it uses less than 80% of your resources that you would otherwise use in a traditional development model. So you wouldn't have to look for multiple programmers and then a DevOps person. You wouldn't have to look at monitoring your systems, bring in a performance tester, automation tester, and everything. Most of that is available within the platform. For example, Mendix, which is one of the platforms that we use frequently, provides an automated testing suite within the platform itself, and it also guarantees performance in terms of sustainability, scalability, security, and everything, which comes again built within the platform, so that you can confidently go ahead building your apps and deploy them. So all of this is actually, compelling reasons for which you should be using a low-code application. And apart from that, if your application seems to be futuristic, more in terms of connecting with the devices, doing artificial intelligence and things like that, yes, there are avenues available within low code platforms to achieve them. and for any application that is on the Internet of Things space and all that, there are ways through which you can make them happen through your low-code application platform. So those are some of the significant advantages that a low-code platform offers, and that's reason number two why you should go ahead and consider a low-code platform for your needs. Let's move ahead. Low-code provides development opportunity for everyone. It is not that only people with coding knowledge should be or would be able to perform development, unlike the traditional development scenario. In case of low code, a very compelling reason for anybody to use low code is it provides opportunity for anybody to participate in development, particularly business. So if you're looking at somebody who brings in a lot of domain expertise, but they may not have the technical proficiency to do coding, they would still be able to use a low-code platform because the platform offers a development environment with drag and drop tools. They provide a lot of visual facility for you in order to use the tool and build your platforms basically. And if you have developers in your organization, and if let's say they are accustomed to using integrated development environment like an Eclipse or IntelliJ or something like that, they would still be able to use the traditional, they would still be able to use the integrated development environment that is part of platforms like Mendix to extend beyond what they have built, what the citizen developers have built basically. So Mendix, for example, offers an IDE called Studio Pro, and you can developers can use Studio Pro to enhance more features on top of what citizen developers have built actually. And more importantly, for your backend data model, usually people go for tools like Unified Modeling Language and things like that. Whereas in the case of low-code platforms, you can customize your data models with just a few clicks actually. And on top of it, you don't have to look at a UI UX person coming in and adding your colors, your fonts, your user experience and everything. All of that can happen through citizen developers or anybody within your organization, because the visual interface of a low-code platform provides you with the option to customize your application's user interface without any code basically. And as I mentioned earlier, you can have an omni-channel application development using using low code, simply because it uses one code base for all your devices basically. So we have discussed multiple reasons here. However, reason number three why you should invest or why you should go for a low code platform is you derive all these benefits, which are even from a cost point of view much lesser to what you would do when it comes to traditional development platforms. Let's move forward. One of the things that we wanted to highlight is what kind of principles do low-code platforms carry basically. So for example, Mendix, one of the leading low-code platforms, came up with a manifesto for low-code. And they also brought in 9 key principles, which they said, should actually, is something which, low-code platforms should follow. For example, you should build and deploy innovative timely solutions, but building solutions with low code means that these low code platforms should adhere to some principles, and that's a very important area for you to consider when you build low code, because typically when you move from traditional development to low code, what happens is there is always a question in terms of, is the buzz all worth it? Is all the buzz surrounding low code worth it? What happens to my old principles of building Java platforms? What happens to my design principles? What happens to my development standards and everything? So Mendix defined the 9 principles that you see on the screen for low-code application development to empower makers from the enterprise to any individual to build software that makes a difference, basically. So some of the principles that we see here are model-driven development. That's something that lies at the base of low-code platforms. You should be able to transform ideas into applications that deliver business value through abstraction, automation, and openness. And that's what model-driven development brings in. Similarly, collaboration. You should be able to leverage a shared visual language to support the interchange of knowledge and ideas between business domain experts and developers, which is something platforms like Mendix offer. Number three, agility. You should be able to manage the full enterprise application development lifecycle with agile work streams to eliminate bottlenecks, support iterative delivery and things like that, which is something low-code platforms like Mendix carry. And number four, cloud. Needless to say, cloud enables the ease and speed of application deployment that your customers demand today, which is something low-code platform should offer. Openness and extensibility. Of course, anything should be, you should be able to integrate anything with an agnostic enterprise application, or let's say a legacy or a modern platform or anything for that matter. So basically, you should remove any limitation on what can be built using low code. And that's a principle that a low code platform should offer and should provide you with the flexibility. Multi-user development, as much as doing peer programming or as much as doing continuous integration where multiple developers can check in, build code and things like that. Platforms like Mendix offer low code, principle like multi-user development where multiple developers can work on an application at the same time. So the platform should be able to support and synchronize their work streams. And experimentation and innovation, of course, development tools that come with low-code platforms need to be affordable. The low-code platform itself needs to be affordable and nimble so that innovators can experiment, explore, and create basically, which is something you should look for in a low-code platform if you plan to go for one. And governance and control, very important part. Robust governance and control processes and protocols are essential, and that is something every low-code platform should offer. And community support, of course, a platform without a community is not a platform at all. So as much as the open source platforms that have been in the past, like let's say Linux or anything for that matter, a low code platform should provide you with a very strong community support basically. So these are some of the principles that you might want to consider as you plan to invest in a low code platform. And platforms like Mendix for that matter, which is a low code platform that companies collaborate often, particularly Shuchi Systems collaborates with Mendix pretty often, which follow these principles within the platform so that it gives users all the confidence that they need in order to build applications. So reason number 4, principles of low code are extremely important so that you don't have to actually worry about what happens to my design standards and things like that. So that's reason number 4, and let's move forward. One of the biggest advantages we spoke about at a at a macro level was the speed that you obtain or that you derive from low-code platforms. But at length, if you want to discuss the topic, speed is something that any low-code platforms offer. There is an overall ease of use. There are ways for you to determine your user experience, making minimal clicks possible in order to get to a checkout process or whatever it could be, where your users get to experience the kind of speed and agility that you're looking forward to. And of course, depth of the application. It's not like you would not be able to do anything that happens in a traditional environment. As much as what you will do with traditional development, you can do anything depth-wise in a low-code platform, whether it comes to integrating your legacy applications and modern business, or handling enterprise-level workloads with sustainability, or any kind of compliance requirements, reliability, and all of that comes with the platform. And again, today's digital world demands extremely good user experience. That includes building rich user interfaces that can be compelling for a user to react or to respond and things like that. So low-code platforms also offer that. So in terms of greater business agility, low-code platforms offer you speed, depth, and richness when it comes to building applications, which is another key important reason that you can look at building your applications using low-code. Let's move forward. This is a very important slide that I want to spend some time on. A lot of people are very skeptical about using low code. They all think there is a lot of buzz around low code, but we really don't know whether all that is actually done. So, all that is actually worth it actually. Is the bus actually worth it? They don't know. So there is a lot of questions around if low code can actually offer what it claims to offer. For example, people say that it's meant only for citizen developers. The fact is, a full-fledged developer with extremely good programming skills would still be able to use a low-code platform, and it's not just meant for only citizen developers. Similarly, people say or think that it is only for people who live in dorms, right? For people, techies who live in dorms that need to who need to build an app actually, or for small businesses for whom apps need to be built. The fact is, there is a very important case study that I wanted to highlight. ING, which is one of the largest banking institutions, which has about 40,000 employees in 40 countries, is using low-code today. They are connected today. Their entire communication for their digital platform, or as part of the digital transformation, they have completely overhauled their digital experience for their clients using Twilio as their low-code platform. So Twilio has become the core communication platform for ING, and Twilio has enabled everything for them. That includes, um, their voice-based systems, videos, messaging, and everything. So ING is powering their next generation unified contact centers with Twilio's building blocks, which includes voice and messaging, video, and everything. So ING, a company of ING size, think about it. They have 40,000 employees in 40 countries, and they have 17 disparate legacy call centers created by different vendors. And when they thought about building a unified contact center, in order to transform the digital experience for their customers, they did not go for traditional development, which is going to take hell of a time actually. So they decided to go for Twilio, and ING's adoption of Twilio, as the core of its communication platform, is a great example of API-driven low-code development, basically. So in the process, what ING has done is they have given agility and speed in all aspects of their business, basically, and they have looked at every possible way through which their developers can be empowered. And they have also built 450 agile teams that basically works with all of Twilio's messaging APIs and everything, basically. So similarly, a lot of people think with low code it is only about the build phase. Actually, the reality is low code platforms bring in built-in DevOps features, continuous integration, continuous delivery, and everything. So it's not about just the build phase. You will be able to deploy in a continuous deployment mode. You will be able to do continuous integration. You will be able to do continuous delivery and things like that. And as part of the same, you will be able to take care of your testing needs and everything actually. And low code will not create another form of shadow IT. Of course, low code will bring in a lot of value in the form of governance, in the form of regulatory compliance meets, and meeting the needs of regulatory compliances and everything. And as we discussed earlier, with low code development, people think they cannot do custom coding. That's not true. The fact is, platforms like Mendix offer Java based custom code development, so any developer can enhance features or add more using platforms like Java if they are using Mendix as their low code application development. Or let's say somebody is using Salesforce Lightning, they will be able to use a programming language called Apex, which comes with Salesforce Lightning actually, that provides you with object-oriented features and everything in order to do programming within the low-code platform. And multiple platforms offer multiple choices. So if there is a developer who wants to use programming, they would be happily able to do it with low-code development, and they would be able to bring in custom code, enhance features, and everything basically. So another reason why you should go for low-code is, unlike what skeptics think, unlike what people think, people assume that there is a lot of buzz, but the claims are not true. The reality is it's a mindset problem, it's a mind block basically. The reality is low code has a lot to offer, and it is not restricted by any of this that we see here. These are only mind blocks with which many people think are actually features of low code. That's not true. And moving forward, let's look at the seventh and final reason as to why you should go for low code. We discussed this again earlier. Low code allows you to focus on business development basically. So any organization's objective should be to build or should be to enhance their business continuously, adding new features and everything. They should not be worried about IT problems or infrastructure needs and things like that. So having a low code platform gives you a very little learning curve. Anybody within the organization can learn, and they can get started using the visual tools that are available in order to build applications using low code. And you can release product to market in the shortest time and obtain customer feedback very quickly. And you don't reduce, I mean, you don't lose anything as part of implementation cost. It's not like traditional development where you build for 3 months and then figure out that it's not going to help actually. So in this case, if things go wrong, you have the ability to immediately come back and make corrections and move forward actually. And that way you can reduce implementation cost and avoid any kind of capital losses. And as we discussed earlier, better utilization of resources. Of course, reports say that at least 70 to 80% of lower resources can be spent when you use a low-code platform. And that's another major advantage. And of course, you can focus more on the business side of things, as we saw in the case of Uber. The platform, the company focused on their business and made things better for their business rather than trying to focus on infrastructure or on allied areas of infrastructure cost and everything basically. So another compelling reason to go for low code is to focus on your business rather than worrying about your infrastructure, IT, and everything, which you can build as as basically allied areas of the low code itself. So low code can provide you with all the flexibility you need to get your business better, and it can empower your business as you continue to focus on your business value. So with that being said, thank you so much for listening. Let me hand over the reins of this webinar to Anil and Fidlis, who are part of our technical team. Anil is the Director of Technology at Shuchi Systems, and Fidlis is one of our lead consultants and engineer on the low-code platform. So what we intend to do here is to build a small low-code platform live in front of your eyes so that you get to see typically how an application gets built using low-code. Thanks to you once again. Over to you, Anil and Fidlis.
Sure. Thank you, Vasu. I think the examples during the situation of COVID, I'm sure people will relate in terms of New York crisis and things like that. I mean, off late we see a lot of applications spinning on the fly, and I'm sure majority of them are either possible because of some predefined frameworks or very much low-code platforms. As part of today's demo, we'll be sharing you a demonstration on how we build an application using Mendix, which is a low-code platform. And one question that comes to people is like, I mean, if I use a low-code platform, how it is going to help me in terms of extensibility and things like that. But pretty much the low-code platforms allow you for adding external libraries, things like that. So, however, keeping the current session in mind, we would like to present you on building an application. Called. Basically, we are talking about an employee directory management, where you will see how we construct tables associate relation between these tables, and then build forms out of these tables, and how do you publish and see the application which is being built out. So over to you, Fidlis, and you could take it from here on the demo. Thank you.
Thank you, Anil. Thank you, Vasu. Hello all. So like Anil mentioned, we are going to see a demo about how we are going to create an employee directory here. And we are in the Mendix IDE. And let's start with the domain model. That is the database structure, and domain model is how it is called in Mendix. So being an employee directory, so we have the employee table, which is the main table, which is the actually the entity in this domain model, and we have different attributes related to it. We also have different other entities related to employee table. So if you see in the employee table, I have 3 fields, which is employee name, email, and phone. And I have also done a generalization with the system's image entity. So doing so will give this employee table the access to the system image attributes and its features. So we having seen about the employee table, let's move forward to build relations between different entities. So like each employee will belong to a department. So let me relate this employee to this department entity. And if you see, it is a one-to-many relationship. One department will be associated with different employees. So that's what is marked here with 1 and asterisk here. So likewise, I'm going to build an association with the designation and with the branch. So that's it. So we're all set with the domain model for this employee directory. So having done that, let's start building the pages for it. So let's start with building pages for branch management, designation management, department management, and finally the main one, that is the employee management. These all pages come inside the admin panel because these are all just managements. And finally, we will also see a page for employee directory itself, which is the home page. So where we will list all the employees and we will see how to filter employees by different constraints. So let's start by building a page here with the admin. So to build a page, I'm going to add a page here and select it and say branch, and it's a blank page. So once the blank page is created, I'm going to give a title for it. So let me go to the toolbox and give a text and say branch management. And let me make it a heading. And I'm also going to give a background for this. I have a predefined class, which is EMP header. So we are done with the styling of the header, and now we can go ahead and start building the branch page for the branch management. So typically this page is for listing all the branches available in the database. So let me pull a data grid here so that I can list all the branches here. So once I pull the data grid, I'll have to associate this data grid with a entity. So obviously the entity that belongs to this is branch. So I'm selecting it, and I can make any other changes. As part of it, I'm going to just disable search for now and say okay. So once I do that, it will ask whether it wants to populate all the fields automatically. I'm going to say yes. So all the fields like office branch and branch address are populated automatically for me. And it also says that I have options to add new page. That is the new add a new page where a new branch can be added, and edit and delete options. So let me do some styling first. So let me give some colors for it. Okay, so given that, so let me create a new page for it. So obviously I do not have a page already to select. So let me create one here by clicking the new button. So it's just going to ask me the form, what kind of form it wants to build. I'm going to select the form columns. And once I select that, it automatically creates a page and does everything for me. I just have to hit OK. So the new page is created and linked here. And if I go to the branch new edit and check that, I can see that all the fields related to the branch is populated, and I can just I just have everything, like including save, cancel, everything. And it has also created an entity, like a data view for me, and have associated with the relevant entity, that is branch. So actually the add and edit option is completed here. So let me give some styling here. So let me add a layout, or let me copy it from here for now. And just place it here. So we are all set with the branch management. Now I'm going to just save it, and my branch management is completed. So likewise, we can create managements for department and designation. For the sake of this demo, I have pre-built it and have it uh, removed from this project. Let me include it to this project now. So it's the designation management and the designation new and add. So if you see in the department management, I have the titles and a grid that shows all the details, and we have the feature of listing down all the departments. And in the department new edit, we have the fields pre-populated like what we saw in the branch and branch new edit pages. Likewise, we have for designation and designation add edit also. So let's start building an management for employee. So let me add a page for employee, page, call it employee. So let me add some title headers for it and rename it to employee management. Say okay. And obviously for an employee management, we'll start with the employee list. So I'm going to pull a data grid and I'm going to select the relevant entity for it, which is the employee itself. And I'm going to say no for search. And it's asking, it will ask, as usual, it asks me if it wants to fill it out automatically. I'm going to say yes. And it automatically fills all the fields relevant to it. So here I have to do some cleanup, whether I have to double check if everything is fine, like employee name. I'm just going to rename it as name because we are already in the employee management. And email and phone is what we want. I do not want the name here and the size. These two are the attributes from the system.image. Because we have generalized it, it is based on the association, it's pulling it here. But I do not want the image details here to be displayed here. So I'm just going to remove that and reorganize it. And now I can go ahead and create a new page where I can add and edit employee. So clicking on the new button, let me add the styling for new and add some colors so that I can differentiate between different buttons. And the delete obviously should going to be in red. And for new, we do not have a page already to select from. So let me create a new one and say form columns. And as usual, it creates the page automatically for me and links it to this button. So when I open this, I can see everything populated for me. Because I have linked, I have an image association. It has even created an image preview, image upload option even. So I'm going to just organize this form. I have to rename it to name instead of employee name. Then email, phone, name of the image. I do not want that. And size, we are not going to use it. We are not going to use the department's designation and the branch and the file upload. Let me pull this image below so that any file uploaded will be previewed here below the file upload. So with that done, we are all set with the management and all the admin part of it is completed. So let's start building the directory itself, employee directory itself. So let me go to the home page and here I'm going to use a template grid. So I'm putting a template grid and I'm going to select the entity associated with it. Obviously it's employee and I'm going to say always and say okay. It's asking whether it wants to fill. Yes, I'm going to say yes. And all the fields are loaded. The template grid is something that creates a replica as long is based on the data. This is a template, and if I have 5 rows in my data result set, so the same template will be applied for 5 records. So it's easy for us to build any grid kind of activities or anything that repeats. It's very useful. So in this case, if you see, we have the employee image, employee name. I'm going to pull the designation next to the employee name, then the email, phone, name. I do not want the name, it's the name of the image, and the size I'm going to remove it. Department and office is what I have. So after that, let me clean up this filters. Instead of the normal filters, I'm just going to have some three drop downs that are actually the associations with the employee entity. So let me right click and create a drop down that says that is associated with. Let me do it for a department first. So department, and let me call it, and let's say okay. And the next filter is based on designation. So let me select the designation name, and next filter is based on branch. So let me select the branch name here, and I have to rename here branch, and here it's department. Sorry, designation. Okay, so once done, we are all set and we are almost in the final stage. And we do not need a new button here or edit or delete because we have the employee management to feed in the data, and we are just going to display in the directory and filter the results. So before that, I want to make some changes to the UI. Now it's a 2-column layout. Let me change it to the 4-column. And this, I want to add some styling for this, like H2 and employee. I want to give a title, employee title, and this will be like a subtitle. So let me give it as H4 and a predefined class that is sub underscore title, and all others will be of the same font. Let me give it as H6 and employee detail. EMP detail is the class name which I have predefined for this case. So let me apply it for all the fields, and we should be done with the UI. And I'm going to have an H6, and the class name has employee detail, and I'm going to apply H6, and the last one is okay. And also I would like to align the image to the center. So let me give a class name as center, which is also predefined. So with that, we are all set. So before running, I want to check if we have any errors, and I would like to create the navigation part of it. So I have a navigation for home, then let me build it for department. And select an icon for it. And I want to show a page, and let me select a page for it. That is department. So next is designation. And I would like to select an icon. Designation, and obviously I have to link it to a page, and Designation is what I linked. And then is the branch. So let me select an icon for it. I have to select a page and I'm going to select a branch. And finally, I'm going to add a link for employee management as well. Employee management, I will select a image for it, icon for it, and a page, and its relevant page. Okay. So once done, we are all set, and I'm going to run this application. Let us run this application. It will automatically save, and let's run. Once it is executed, we'll have this view option enabled. So once it's enabled, we'll be able to just click and the default browser will open for us, and we'll be able to check our application in the website. Let me click here. And this is our employee directory. And we do not have any data because as we haven't filled in any data till now. So this is our department management, our designation management is linked, our branch management is linked, and our employee management is also linked. So let me add some data for department. Description. And another probably IT department. I'll just name this software for now. And let me create a designation, which is sales manager. Manager, just I'll name it as manager of sales. And an IT manager. I would say all software for now. So let me create a branch in India. Address Chennai. Let me just name it, make it short for considering the time. And United States. I'll say Dallas. So let me create an employee now. So let me create with my name for this and my email at company.com, my phone number. My department is IT, I would say, and IT manager. Let me say that I'm from based out of India, and let me select an image for myself and save. And let me add another employee. Probably I'll name as Vasu. Email at email.com. Some phone number, department. I'll select the designation. I'll select a branch. I'll upload an image. So I'm all set with the data, and let's visit the employee directory, we are able to see the employee list. We can filter an employee based on their department, or I can reset it. I can, based on the designation, their branch. I do not have anyone, so let me remove this. And so we can do the search. This is the quick application we thought of sharing in this demo.
Thank you.
Mendix,
Thank you, Freddy.
thank you, Vasu. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Freddy. Lini, yeah, go ahead if you, I think
Yeah.
there are some questions that has come from the audience. Please go ahead.
Yes, Vasu. Yeah. Thank you, Vasu. Thank you, Fedlis. It was a great session. Yeah. So the first question here, Vasu, is what's the most important features that businesses should look out for when deciding on a low-code platform?
I mean, the most important thing is to see what level of IT infrastructure they want to move out of their their purview. So typically it all depends on how they are set up and things like that. So for example, if they are looking at more of API enablement and bring in details from that side, it would make sense for them to go and go and enable the low code platform so that they can take care of the API enablement and all of that from their side actually, and try to focus on the business. Let's say they are a big organization where they have significant IT teams and all that, but they are looking to, let's say, bring down the cost, efficiency and everything. That's another area where they can look at moving towards a low-code platform so that they can look at cloud-based deployment and all of that, and bring down the spending that they are doing today on their infrastructure and everything. So it all depends on a few factors, but most importantly, how much they want to support their business and how they want to build the business and things like that. So I think those are some of the things that an organization needs to consider before they get into low-code.
Okay. Yes. So there is an almost a related question. Under what circumstances should an organization consider low-code?
If they are, let's say, not an organization that have a great idea in terms of IT infrastructure and everything, and based on some kind of computation, let's say they feel that infrastructure costs are working out very high for them, and they want to look at a model where they can reduce that, and let's say they don't have the right kind of people to manage their infrastructure, and they want to have somebody else take care of it while trying to focus on their business and things like that. Those are ideal scenarios where they can opt for a low-code platform which would take care of these areas for them.
Okay, thank you, Vasu. So that's all. We don't have any further questions for now. Thank you again, Vasu. And with this, I think it's time for us to wrap the session. Thanks once again to all the great audiences that we had today. I welcome you all to follow Zushi Systems in the social platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can stay updated about all the webinars that's lined up for the days to come. And you will also have some great content that we share in our social threads. So please stay tuned. And if you have any further queries, please do write back to us at the email address that you see on the screen, sales@sushisystems.com. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Take care. Thanks, PD and Anil.
Thanks, Vasu. Thank you all.
Thank you,
For
Vasu.
being part of the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Vasu. Thank you, Anil. Thank you all.